All right, we're good, right? All right, Shabbat Shalom. Hope everybody had a great week. Today, we're going to talk about something. Of course, we're doing the hopefully 15 minutes or less. This better be 15 minutes or less. There's just a few scriptures to talk about a day being 1,000 years. So like, share, subscribe, follow. Let me get that out of the way now. Now, a lot of people don't understand what I mean when I say that. Yes, a day is 24 hours when we're talking about sun up, sun down, and things like that, or sundown to sundown, rather. But in God's time, it's not always the same as our time. And sometimes we'll look at time for the Most High and we'll try to compare it, but it's not necessarily the same to compare. So, what we want to show is that one day with the Lord is not the same as one day with us. 24 hours is not going to be how he does things, but his one day. So, for example, when you're talking about Genesis, in the beginning, he made everything in 6 days, rested on the Sabbath. That was 7 days, right? Well, was that 7 24-hour days, or was that 7 days as far as 1,000 year period? So, what we want to do to answer the question, obviously, we're going to jump right into the scriptures. We're going to get Psalms 90:4. We'll start there.
All right. For 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday when it is past, and as a watch in the night.
A watch in the night. So if you're watching in the night, that's one night, right? Night to night is a day. Day to day is a day, right? So, but he said, he gave us a clue. He said 1,000 years in thy sight are what?
1,000 years are but as yesterday. Sorry.
You good. But as yesterday, how many hours is yesterday? That's a 24-hour day, right? Yesterday. So he's saying 1,000 years in thy sight. Who is he talking to? The Most High, right? So 1,000 years in the Most High's eyes is only yesterday. So 1,000 of our years is only yesterday to him, because one day with him is 1,000 of our years. Let's get 2 Peter 3:8. 2 Peter chapter 3:8. And these scriptures are important because when we're talking about waking up in the third day and things like that, we got to consider what we're talking about here. Is it third day is then 24 hours, which will be 72 hours? Well, after 48 hours is up, or is it after 2,000 years? Let's see. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8. Go ahead.
But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day.
Now he's making it very clear here. 1,000 years is one day, and one day is 1,000 years when you're comparing man's time to God's time. Very simple. So when you see something in the Bible and it's referring to the Most High's time, you got to be considerate that is, hey, let's see, is this 1,000 years or is this 24 hours? Let's see. So now we're going to get an example to see. Let's get Revelation chapter 20, verse 2.
And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil, and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
How long did he bound him?
1,000 years.
All right, so if he bound him 1,000 years, that's how many days for us? For us. That's one day for us, right? 24-hour day for us. 1,000 years.
It's vice versa.
24.
1,000 years for us is one day to him.
1,000, I'm saying about 1,000 years. That's why he said, huh? 1,000, you're right. Good catch. 1,000 years for us, because they say he's bound 1,000 years, is one day for him. We say him because this is Christ is bound him, right? So with him being bound 1,000 years, that's only one day for him, but that's 1,000 years. But that 1,000 years he's bound is the kingdom of Christ. Now, what's important? Why is that important? His kingdom is supposed to be 1,000-year kingdom, right? Which is one day to him, but it's 1,000 for us. However, what day is this that he's bound? This is day number 14. What is that? Well, we're going to have to see in a second. But remember, one day, we'll make sure we got this straight now. one day with, okay, yeah, one day with God is 1,000 of our years, right? So if you go in the beginning, day 1, day 2, day 3, all the way till day 6, 6,000 years, right? The Sabbath, when that's complete, 7,000 years complete. Then he said that when he came back, he would bring us to his kingdom, but he said we would enter into that rest. What do you do on the Sabbath? Right, that's what Sabbath means. So with us entering into that rest on the Sabbath, and his Sabbath is 1,000 years, that's one day of rest. Just like it was on day 7 when he rested from the 6 days of creation. So all this, we've been here 50 million years and all that crazy stuff. We have not. We have not. A lot of people don't understand when you're talking about how many years it's been. We're looking at centuries and things like that. How long is a century? That's just 100 years, right? That's it. It takes 10 centuries just to get what? 1,000 years, right? Which is one day. Just to get one day. So we are headed towards that 14,000 day. That's what we're headed towards. So if we are in, matter of fact, once day 7 started for the Sabbath, that was the beginning of day 7, right? Then you got to go through that whole day. So we are at day 13 for him. 13,000 years, right? It's a lot of years still. But I know people look at this, but man, there's no way. You got dinosaur bones. We have this. We got so many things. We carbon date. We go way past the amount of years that you're saying. But biblically speaking, see, I say biblically speaking because all the stuff that we're talking about, carbon dating and things that man comes up with, it's no proof. It's nobody alive today that was here 1,000 years ago that can say, yeah, that actually checks out. So there's no way that you could set anything back that far and check to see if it's true. But biblically speaking, we know each day was 1,000 years now. And we know he said when he come back, we will enter into that rest, which is the Sabbath. And we also know that that means that would be another 7 or another 7,000 when we're talking about years for him. So when he returned, and it's this time that we just was reading, Satan to be bound for 1,000 years for the kingdom of Christ. And if we continue to read verse 4, I'm going to read the whole thing, but it even ends saying that they lived and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. That is that Sabbath day of rest he promised us. Now, let's continue. Let's get Genesis 2 and 16. That's Genesis chapter 2 and 16. Just to show why we're saying this. All right.
And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die.
So what is the punishment for eating of that tree? Let's be clear.
You'll die that same day.
You'll die. Well, we're not going to say this same day. We don't want to confuse them yet. It does say in that day, but we're going to show the difference. Because when somebody says in that day, they say 24 hours. That was actually one of the videos that God had did when he was trying to mock the Bible. So see how easy this is? Because y'all see where we headed with this, right? In that day you shall surely die. But we're not going to focus on that day yet because I don't want to confuse the 24-hour day. We're going to see what happened. Let's get Genesis 3 and 1. That's Genesis chapter 3, verse 1.
All right. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die.
So he said, look, you're going to die if you eat of this. And she reminded him of that, right? Go ahead.
And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die.
All right. So what was told to the woman? You're not going to die. And she ate that fruit. We're not going to do this whole story. We know she ate of that fruit. Did she die right then? She went and plenty of time went by and people say, see, that's what I mean. It contradicts the Bible and all of that. So let's see if it contradicts, or let's see, was that day 24 hours or 1,000-year period? Because at that point in time, nobody had died yet. And we're going to see that everyone was living up until a certain time. Let's get Genesis 5 and 1. Let's go on and wrap this up. Genesis chapter 5, verse 1.
This is the book of the generations of Adam. And the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam. And in the day when they were created,
They called their name Adam in the day when they were created. Go ahead.
and Adam lived 130 years, and begat a son in his own likeness. After his image, he called his name Seth. And the days of Adam after he begot Seth were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died.
So he died at what age?
930.
930, right? If he had made it to 1,000 years, he would have lived for a whole day in God's eyes, right? Did he make it to a whole day? So did he die that day?
Yes.
So remember, God said, if you eat of this tree, you're going to die this day, right? And a day to a man, 24 hours. He lived way past that. But we wouldn't be looking at man's day because God is the one that gave the rules and told him that, right? So when he said you will die this day, it was according to God's day. And at that point in time, God let him know it will be today. But today was not based on 24 hours. Today was based on God's time, being that the commandment came from him. Did he die the same day that God told him? At 930. So had he not died, had he not ate of the fruit, he would have actually went past his time of 1,000 years because nobody had died at that time and nobody was dying. So with that being said, hopefully y'all can see 1,000 years is one day to God. 1,000 of our years. One day to God. Y'all got that? Hopefully somebody got some understanding. And of course, you can hit us up for the questions, comments, anything like that. Appreciate your time. Peace and blessings. We are gone.